Hey, y'all, I was scrolling looking for a video. I didn't really know what I was going to play. I don't know if I was going to probably react to AMP, you feel me, something like that. Maybe RDC, even Corey Kenshin or something like that. I was going to react to something, but the wrestler, the kid inside me, seen this video about NWA, and I'm like, I might as well watch it. I'm back because it's content to be created.
When NWA Power
And we're with Top 10 Wrestling. Don't forget to subscribe. And me too, bro.
first started, there was a great buzz around the company. It was the hottest the company had been in years. They had new ownership, investment, and a great roster. But fast forward to now, and the NWA is far less popular. And as someone who has watched every NWA Power episode and watches every week, the vibe around the company is just a lot different. This is the story of Billy Corgan's NWA. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe right now, right this second if you haven't already.
You heard him.
Let's get into the video.
Subscribe right now, right this second, and also to me right now, right this second, before I put my hands on you. I don't want to do that, but I don't know. I'm feeling like type disrespected. I don't want to get like that, but you making me feel a certain way. You making me feel a certain way. Why are you making me feel a certain way, You know what you is, boy. I'm sorry, y'all. I love all y'all, man. Let's go. That's not turbulence.
Billy Corgan has been involved with pro wrestling for actually a while now. It's been well over a decade that he has been a professional wrestling promoter. His first bit of experience came in 2011 when he formed the Chicago-based independent wrestling promotion Resistance Pro Wrestling. And there were some decent people on these shows, a lot of people who are on the NWA today. People like Harry Smith, Rhino, the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Anthony, Colt Cabana, Teddy Hart were all wrestlers who at one point wrestled for the promotion. In March 2014, it was reported that Corgan was in discussions with AMC to get an unscripted reality series about Resistance Pro to begin airing. It would be a show that would just go behind the scenes with the promotion, a documentary style show, and it was given the green light by AMC at one point actually. However, nothing was ever made as the show was cancelled and Billy Corgan departed from Resistance Pro Wrestling in 2014. Then in April of 2015, he would become the new senior producer of creative and talent development for TNA Wrestling. And then the next year, in August of 2016, he took over as TNA's new president. However, he was gone from the company by November of 2016 after disputes about payment and a whole load of array and other stuff issues with Dixie Carter and Anthem. There's millions of videos about the TNA and Billy Corgan whole situation. We don't need to go into it here today. But following his time with TNA, Billy Corgan was still not done with wrestling, and in May of 2017, he would purchase the National Wrestling Alliance. And from here, the NWA started to grow a bit. It started to gain popularity and do better. The first thing is they got Nick Aldis in, and he became the ace of the company and the top guy in the company and their world champion. And it was during this time that there was more talk about the NWA and how...
Like, I had watched, like, one episode of NWA before. Like, I don't know. I was randomly... I'll tell you that. I was randomly scrolling on YouTube, and I just seen it, like, NWA. I'm like, what the fuck? I think it was, like, live or some shit. I clicked it. I clicked it. I think it was like this nigga, Nick Atlas, with some girl. I was like, I don't know, bro. I think he was finding his father. I don't know, bro. I ain't even about to really get into him. Like, I can't. Hey, yo.
How good of a job that Nick Aldis was doing as the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. And then in 2018, the NWA got perhaps their biggest exposure in years when they were featured as part of the All In event. The match featured was of course Nick Aldis defending his NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Cody Rhodes in what was one of the most anticipated matches and one of the best matches on the All In card. Obviously, with Cody Rhodes going over and winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship in a big moment. However, following this, there was a bit of a cool down period for the NWA, mainly due to the fact they didn't really have a TV product at the time and were mainly running on live events and pay-per-view. And when Nick Aldis won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship back from Cody Rhodes 3 months later, the NWA needed to figure out their next step. And that is when NWA Power would begin in 2019. A weekly show airing on YouTube with the likes of Nick Aldis, Eddie Kingston, Colt Cabana, Ricky Starks, Homicide, Allison Kay, Thunder Rosa.
Word, they had my nigga Hank in this shit. Nigga Murdoch.
Rock and Roll Express, Camille, Tom Latimer,
couple
Trevor
people, bro.
Murdoch, Tasha Steelz, ODB,
I call that nigga
and
Hank,
many,
bro. My
many
bad,
more,
Trevor.
all a part of it.
My bad, Trevor,
and of
but
course,
don't geek
Jim
out on me,
Cornette
bro.
on commentary. And when the first
Yeah, Jim
episode of
Cornette.
NWA Power was released, it aired to
did not know they had
critical
Jim Cornette.
acclaim. The Rock himself took to Twitter to congratulate
Correct,
Jim
Jim.
Cornette and the
The
NWA
boys, the crew,
for a
etc.
successful first episode of NWA Power.
That boy,
And I have to
talking
say,
his
man,
shit.
this era
Come
of
on, cool,
NWA
Vengeance
Power
Hill,
was
keep
really
working
special.
hard, boys.
There was something
Rock,
in the air
like,
for
why
it.
he
Every
leave-
week was exciting. The crowd...
Why the Rock leave that shit off with the Rock? Like nigga, shut your bitch. Nah, chill, Rock. Chill the way. Don't do it to me. No. Bro, gonna blackball me to death. You feel me? They ain't gonna put me in a motherfucking rock bottom, and I ain't gonna never wake up from that shit, y'all. That boy made out of muscles. You heard? That boy made out of muscles. Now, you feel me? I gotta get in the gym first. I gotta get in the lab first. After I get in the lab, tell that nigga Rock to see me.
Were pumped to be there. The wrestlers seemed excited about it. It was a really cool project.
But
And
you
a lot
niggas
of
think you
people's
caught me in
first
a lie? Shut your
introduction
bitch ass
to
up and
TV
watch the movie.
studio wrestling. However, early on to NWA's days, there was a bit of controversy. Of course, there was the Jim Cornette controversy when he made the joke about Trevor Murdoch on commentary and resigned from the NWA shortly thereafter.
God, bro.
However, it didn't hurt the company in the long run. What did hurt the company in the long run was the pandemic, and ever since the NWA has returned from the pandemic in 2021, the company has simply just not felt the same.
Why the music got so loud in my ears?
So let's talk about what's happened since the NWA returned from the pandemic and what's really hurt them. What some of the things that have happened that have hurt the company. First things first is, without a doubt, all the departures from the company. It's something that was natural to happen. A lot of guys getting exposure for the first time, becoming stars, and then during the pandemic, when the NWA aren't able to run, they get signed and snapped up by places that are running. We saw this happen with people like Ricky Starks, who departed from the NWA to AEW. Eddie Kingston, who again departed from the NWA to AEW, and of course Thunder Rosa, who departed from the NWA to, you guessed it, AEW. And yes, even Cornette's departure probably played a big factor in losing the NWA a lot of their audience. There was probably a fair few people who were watching because of Cornette being there. And then you add to that, they also lost the likes of Colt Cabana, Allison Kay, Marty Bell, Zicky Dice, the Dawsons, and many of the original roster members that were there for the first bit of NWA Power. However, there were a few new people that were signed to the company to replace these people.
What the hell
One
is
of these
that there?
people
Oh my-
being a man by the name of Tyrus.
Oh my.
When Tyrus was first announced to be debuting for the NWA at Back for the Attack 2021, it got a fairly lukewarm response. And since coming into the NWA, Tyrus has had a very fast rise. He immediately got into a feud with the Pope, who was the television champion at the time, eventually dethroning him to become the television champion. And I'll tell you right now, his TV title reign was not very good, mainly for the fact that he barely defended it. He's meant to be the TV champion, but his title was hardly being defended while he was the champion, and he was champion for well over a year. He would defend it at least 7 times though, which gave him the ability to cash it in for a title shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And after an initial failed attempt, Tyrus would win the World Heavyweight Championship at Hard Times 3 in a triple threat match with Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona. And I'm going to preface this right now by saying that I don't think Tyrus being on the NWA roster is a bad thing for the company. I think he helps bring in viewership due to him being a Fox News analyst and commentator and things like that. He helps bring in that viewership.
I think when my boy Ryder go by Matt Cardona or some shit like that, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. No disrespect to my boy Tyrus. You feel me? I ain't trying to be mean, rude, nothing. He shouldn't have won that. I'm looking at the 2 people on this list. Either Trevor should have won that shit or Matt. Really, Matt. That nigga be putting in the work. I don't know if he's already champion. Like I said, I don't keep up with NWA, for me, on storylines and that. So I don't know if either one of them was already champion. One of them had to be champion because I know it wasn't Tyrus, so it had to be either Hank or Matt. So either one of them should have retained or they should have got a championship. I'm sorry, bro. It shouldn't have been Tyrus, though.
However, I do have a problem with him being the world champion because the guy simply just isn't good in the ring. He's been champion for nearly 200 days now and hasn't really had the body of work to show for it in his title defenses. Fair enough, he gets a good reaction, and fair enough, he might help viewership, but the guy is just not a good ring worker, and if you look at social media, anytime there's an NWA pay-per-view, he's getting clowned on, and the company are getting clowned on for allowing him to be their world champion. It's just simply not a great look for them.
I don't be the laugh for this shit. It took me out.
The biggest thing that hurt the NWA was the fact they lost Nick Aldis. Last year, it was announced that Nick Aldis would be departing from the NWA due to various issues that he had with the company and the direction of the company that Billy Corgan was taking it in. He voiced his displeasure with Gags the Gimp appearing on NWA TV, as well as the fact that an NWA Empower 2 wasn't happening, and comments made by Trevor Murdoch about NWA Empower 2. And losing Nick Aldis was a big loss for the NWA because up until that point, he was the NWA. He was on TV every week, he was protected, he was pushed to look strong, he was the top guy, he was the ace of the NWA. Like I said, he was NWA's man. And I think when they lost Nick Aldis, that was almost the official shift in tide for the NWA. You know, they had already lost Thunder Rosa, Starks, Kingston, etc. But when they lost Aldis, that's when I think the tide really changed in the NWA and things really started to feel different. But yeah, that's how I feel about how the NWA has kind of fallen off since the start of NWA Power. But like I said, I watch NWA Power every week, so how about a few of the things that I like about the company? They get clowned on a fair bit for having like an SVR 2008 roster, but I actually really like that about the NWA. I like being able to see Trevor Murdoch and Chris Masters and Rodney Mack and all these other former WWE stars. Aaron Stevens, of course. And throughout the NWA's history, there's been some cool former TNA people on there as well.
Red Titus
is, of course, on there. James.
Y'all ain't know I know about Red Titus. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It was an era in my life. If you know, you know. I used to be watching some GTS wrestling. If you know, you know.
Storm was on there at one point too. He was a great wrestler for the NWA. And without a doubt, the best part of the NWA is the women's division. The women's division has never really fallen off for the NWA. While they did lose Thunder Rosa, they've really built a big star that they have in Camille, who has been the women's champion for nearly 2 years now. Kenzie Page is also a brilliant up-and-coming star, the current and inaugural NWA Women's TV Champion. She's also in a team with Ella Envy called the Pretty Empowered, and they are also a brilliant team. And then, of course, you've also got Allison Kay, Kylan King, Maddie Renkowski. Yeah, it's a pretty damn solid roster. I really don't get why they don't just run Empower 2 already.
Why did he end it like that, y'all? Well, hold on. Shut it. Marky, please, no. Marky, no. Tell you why last video I was calling this nigga Marky YD. Marky, I'm bad, bro. Marky D123, bro. My bad. Subscribe to Top 10 Wrestling. This was NWA. You feel me? It was NWA. The fall off, the downfall. Oh, yeah. Well, this was the video. I'm out of here. Yeah.